What's up, Mets fans? The Bat Fry, Kenny Fry here, letting you know what's coming up here on this episode of the Bat Cave. I'll be talking Kodai Senga, Edwin Diaz, Brett Beatty, Mets versus Phillies, Mets Marlins, and Mets Guardians. Take a look ahead to what's going on this upcoming week and next week, standings, and that, and much, much more. So stay tuned, and I will be back in 1 minute. Good morning, New York Mets Nation, and welcome to the Bat Cave. I'm your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry, and you know what day it is. It's Hump Day. All downhill from here, right? Holiday weekend coming up. Gotta love it. Got a couple comments. Shoot her off here. We got Adam Glenn, Adam the Answer, commented in from YouTube. Say, what up, Ken? Go Phillies. That's what I say to that, Adam Glenn. And Eileen checking in. What's up, Eileen? She says, good music. Good music and the soft, sultry tones of the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry, warming up your eardrums or whatever the hell your Cossacks. I don't know. All right, so before we get kicked off here, I'm going to try something a little bit different and see how it goes. I'm going to go ahead and give you the scores from last night's games, kind of like a quick version of Sports Center almost. The Bat Fry, yay. All right, so in Major League Baseball last night, you had the Brewers beating Miami, the Marlins. Christian Yelich had a go-ahead triple in the 8th inning for that win. Brewers won 7-5. San Diego shut out the Reds 2-0. Andrew Abbott goes 7 strong, 4 hits, 1 walk. 2 strikeouts, 2.68 ERA. He's now 3-4 on the season for San Diego. The Pirates beat San Francisco in 10. The Pirates score 4 runs in the 9th inning to come back, tie it up, go into extra innings. They win it in the 10th with a Nick Gonzalez walk-off single. You know, that ghost runner will get you every time, or zombie runner. I call it a zombie runner. Philly finally beats the Rangers. It's been a long time. I think the last 12 outings, maybe the Phillies haven't beat the Rangers. Something like that, 12, 14. I don't remember what it was. But Ranger Suarez continues his dominant ways, improving to 9-0 on the season. He went 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 10 strikeouts, and Harper hit his 11th home run. Again, Philly won 5-2. Minnesota shut out Washington. Minnesota snapped their 7-game losing streak. They won 10-0. 2 home runs for Byron Buxton. That's 3 on the season for him. Joe Ryan, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 6 strikeouts. He's now 3-3 on the season. The Red Sox beat the Rays 5-2. Jarren Duran steals home on a first and third double steal kind of thing there. You know, you have a person on third, a person on first. You steal second, and they throw it to second, and then you steal home kind of thing. So Jarren Duran steals home, and he also homers in the win for Boston. Seattle doubles up the Yanks 6-3. Byron Wu for Seattle went 6 strong, shutting out the Yankees. No one runs, 7 strikeouts, and he now has a .57 ERA on this young season for him. He's now 2-0. The White Sox, you know, the woeful White Sox, they shut out Toronto, big, mighty Toronto with all those offensive weapons. They get shut out by the White Sox 5-0. Garrett Crochet goes 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 4 strikeouts, and a 3.75 ERA now, going 5-4 on the season. The Cubbies beat the Braves in 10. Nico Horner walks it off in the 10th with an RBI single. Well, I don't even know if that counts as an RBI. I think it counts as an RBI, but it doesn't count as an earned run against the pitcher when it's the zombie runner. The Royals shellacked the Tigers 10-3. Bobby Wood Jr. had a pair of home runs. That's now 7 on the season for him and 6 RBIs he had in the game. Baltimore and St. Louis was suspended. They'll continue that game today at 12:15. The Angels lost to Houston. Houston beat the Angels. The Astros beat the Angels 6-5 and 10. Kyle Tucker had 2 home runs, now at 17, knocking the crap out of the ball. And also Jeremy Pena walks it off in the 10th with a single there. The Athletics beat the Rockies in the Who Gives a Shit Bowl there, 5-4. They used 3 home runs. The Athletics used 3 home runs to beat Colorado. Home runs by Abram Toro, J.D. Davis, former Met, and Seth Brown. And then the final game of the night, the Diamondbacks were able to beat the Dodgers 7-3. Jock Peterson hit his 6th home run of the season, a 3-run blast to put the game away against his former team. And in the NBA last night, you had the Boston Celtics beating the Indiana Pacers in overtime. Boston now leads that series 1-0. Pascal Siakam had 24 points, 12 rebounds for Indiana. Miles Turner had 23 points and 10 rebounds for the Pacers. Jason Tatum had 36 points, 12 boards. Jrue Holiday had 28 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. And Jaylen Brown, 26 points, 5 assists, 7 rebounds. He also had the game-tying 3 with 6.1 seconds left to put that game into overtime. So a big win for Boston to kick that series off. All right, so something different to start it off, start the show off. Let me know what you think. If you like that, I'll continue doing it. If you don't, maybe I won't do it. Maybe I'll still do it. I don't know. All right, got a couple more comments here. Yuki Matsui checking in. What's up, Yuki? Francisco Lindofer. Absolutely. You better be careful. You're gonna become like Frank the Tank there with all your nicknames for the players. So, but yeah, Francisco Lindor looked like he was coming out of it. No, not so much. Back in it, I guess you could say. Adam the Answer Glenn says Ranger danger. Yeah, it's kind of funny that Ranger Suarez beats the Texas Rangers. It's the first win for Philly against the Rangers in a long time. So kind of, I don't know if you call it funny, but kind of goofy. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and get back to the show, our regularly scheduled program here, talking about our beloved New York Mets. All right. Let me put my notes back to what I want to talk about here. Adam Popple checking in. What's up, Adam Popple? How you doing, buddy? You can check. I think Adam. You're on. I think EOP every once in a while over there at EOP Sports, Edge of Philly Sports. He's commented on a bunch of our shows from time to time. He's a Phillies fan, so I can't say anything to him. The Phillies are just killing it right now. He says, as a Mets fan, what was your reaction to Lindor's comments about missing winning in Cleveland? You know what? I was kind of surprised about that. That the reporters asked him, "So what do you miss most about Cleveland?" He said, "Winning." I mean, I don't know. So depends on who you talk to. You know, like so when he was with Cleveland, I think they made it. Yeah, they made it all the way to the World Series. Obviously, did not win it. I think that's the year they lost to the Cubs. Terrific World Series, won 7 games. I think Game 7 won extra innings as well. Absolutely insane. But I mean, you won a lot of games. All right, you won the pennant and stuff like that. It's great. But I mean, you're also playing. I think he was also playing a lot better. You know, you look at his average and home runs, stuff like that. They were a lot better than they're in New York. Is that a Lindor problem or is that a Met problem? Well, I guess it's both of their problems, to be honest with you. He talks about winning. You probably win a lot more games if you hit better than 193, right? I don't know. He misses winning. Back in 2022, the Mets did a lot of winning up until they didn't anymore in the first round of the playoffs against the Padres. But I mean, since then, he's played subpar by his standards, at least. Last season had a good season last year, power wise, numbers wise, average wise, not very, very good. Fielding wise, good season last year. I think he ended up, I don't know if he ended up with 30 home runs last year or not. I know he was pretty, no, yeah, he was a 30-30 guy last year, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. So he did put up some decent power numbers last year, but then you look at this season so far. Now, with the Mets so far, he's been a notorious slow starter and kind of heats up as the season goes on. As the temperatures heat up, he heats up. I can only hope that's what happens here. But he's signed for quite a few years yet. So I mean, unless he requests a trade or whatever, this is what it is. And I do think the Mets are building something. They're building something correctly instead of just diving in like they tried to last season. When they went from 2022, okay, 101 wins, finished tied for first, but tiebreaker they end up being a wild card, losing the first round. You get that taste of success, even though it's kind of short lived. Because I'd say 3/4 of the season they played well. Last quarter they did not play well, which is a typical Mets fashion. So they get the taste of that winning, and then they go and they spend a gajillion dollars the next season, kind of get them over the hump. Well, it backfires. They end up having a fire sale. Haven't looked good ever since then. But now I feel like they're building towards something. They're building it almost, it feels like the right way, with David Stearns, the new president of baseball operations, and basically your GM and stuff. So Carlos Mendoza, new coach. I feel like they're building it the right way. And it's something that Stephen Cohen, since he bought the Mets, is kind of talked about. It starts down in your farm system. So he's trying to build up from the farm system. They're trying to do that now. And so instead of trading their assets away for 1 or 2 year rentals, now they're trying to build it up. So you have to be patient with it, is what I'm like. Long story short, what I'm trying to get to is I understand Lindor's frustration. I mean, he's a big part of that frustration. The Mets not winning, he's a very large part of it right now. And but he has to be patient. I feel like they're building something. I expect a youth movement coming through here pretty soon. And maybe even some prospects being called up, if the Mets, especially if the Mets continue this way. If the Mets continue this way, the way they're playing right now, trade deadline, you have to figure there'd be a sale again, and they'd add more to their farm system and continue building towards the future. And who knows, next offseason, you get all these assets in your farm system. There will be a couple big name pitchers that are going to be on the market, so you kind of look towards that as well as your younger group. And I think brighter days are ahead. But Lindor's, the thing he misses most about Cleveland winning thing was, I mean, and also I would almost take it as a shot at Cleveland too. Like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something. I don't know. The Browns, but no, he misses winning. Nothing else about Cleveland really appealed to him, I guess. But yeah, so if he wants to win, he needs to do more. A lot of it's on him. You get paid the big bucks, or expected to do big things. Adam also says, my feeling is he's one of the reasons the Mets aren't winning, so maybe he should shut his mouth. I agree. I mean, I don't know about the shut your mouth part. I'm all for players kind of expressing their feelings as long as it's not detrimental to the team. And I don't feel like it was detrimental to the team, but it did put more eyeballs. It does, like here, it creates more conversation. So then it really needs to be, but. I don't know about the shut your mouth part, but I do believe he's a large reason why. There's so much talent there in that guy that it's a real big letdown when you see him struggling the way he's been struggling. Yuki says, nice City Connect hat. Your thoughts on Edwin Diaz crying? I thought there's no crying in baseball. Yeah, so I got the City Connect hat. I also got a City Connect short sleeve sweatshirt. Hooded sweatshirt, and I love it. I got it for my birthday. My wife bought it for my birthday. My birthday was Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. So I turned 44, and I love this. I love the City Connect uniforms, the Mets City Connect uniforms. With that being said, next week I'll be doing my top 10 list of top City Connect uniforms from all the ones that have been released already. So the Edwin Diaz thing, crying, I have no problem with it at all. I mean. The dude, he stood up there as a professional. He answered all the questions after blowing another save just to get absolutely destroyed. He blew a 4-run lead on 15 pitches. I mean, it wasn't a save opportunity, but still to blow a 4-run lead with 15 pitches. I mean, that must be like some kind of record or something. I mean, I guess if somebody goes up there and gives a grand slam on the first, second, or third pitch, I guess that would beat it. But still, that it's for somebody to fall as far as he has after that injury has to be shocking to him. A lot of pressure on him. He signed that big contract, and that's it. Kind of look at Stephen Cohen. There were a lot of eyes that opened wide when it was announced that the Mets signed Diaz for over $100 million, or right around $100 million, whatever. I know it's over $100 million. I'm not sure how much over it is. A lot of eyes really, bugged out. Like, oh, what's he doing? He's a closer. He's a reliever. And it's something I've talked about on the show before is that relievers, you can have a reliever, 1 or 2 years in a row look absolutely unstoppable. They look amazing. Nobody can hit them. But then the next season, next 2 seasons, next 3 seasons, with an ERA, 4 or 5, just can't get anybody out, walking people. You see it all the time with relievers. It's rare you get that long-term, consistent reliever throughout a career, where throughout their whole career, they're very, very good. You don't see it a whole lot. It is that they are there, but more so you get a reliever with 2 or 3 good seasons than 1 or 2 bad seasons, or 3 bad seasons, or they never even recover from it. But Diaz crying, like I said, he answered all those questions like a professional. He went and sat down at his locker, and that's when he kind of broke down. And I get it. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to win. He wants to do good for the Mets. He wants to do good for the Mets fan base. So I have zero problem with it. I just think that's him just kind of deep breath, a realization what just happened, and can't figure it out right now. He's in his head. Yeah, like I've heard a couple different podcasts say it. He's in his head, and it's 100%. He's in his head. He's lost all control of his fastball, or of his slider. Fastball, doesn't have quite the zip. I mean, still 96, 97, 98, still a fast fastball, but he was able to dial up to 100, 101, 102 in the past. He's reaching back, and it's not there right now. So, I mean, that's a problem. But I think the biggest problem is that slider, him not being able to locate the slider, which, my opinion, was his out pitch 2 seasons ago when he was fantastic. So with him not being able to locate that, not getting a great break on it, until he figures that slider out, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. And again, last night's game, the Mets were down 4, I think it was, or 2. No, I think they were down 4. I don't remember, 3 or 4, whatever it was. They were going to bring him in. Well, the Mets were able to creep up within 1, and they sat him down. I mean, that has to be another shot at his confidence and ego there. They said as much on the SNY broadcast of that. I don't remember if it was Ron Darling or not, or if it was Gary. But that has to be another shot at his confidence. But I have no problem with him crying at his locker and stuff, and it's just a lot of pressure. Just like the whole Caleb Williams, the crying in sports things. It's such an emotional. Sports are so emotional to begin with. Highs and lows. Pressures. It's one thing if you're a shit baseball player or shit, reliever or whatever. You're not expected to do well. So if you don't do well, all right, there's no pressure on you. Like I said, this guy, huge contract, coming off that knee injury. He was in Miami where it happened. A lot of stuff being said about him right now, and he ends up losing his closer's role. Mendoza comes up to him, and Carlos Mendoza, the head coach, and tells him that he's not going to be the closer for right now until he gets it all figured out. Work through it, and they'll get it figured out, and he'll go back to the closer. But until then, he's not. And so you get that on him and stuff. So, yeah, I get it. And then again, like I said, Caleb Williams is another example. A lot of people ripping Caleb Williams for the crying and stuff like that when they lost to who the hell was it? Was it Oregon or somebody like that? A pretty big loss for USC. It goes into the stands and he, hugged his mom and he's crying. They lost. I have no problem with it. It's an emotional. Sports are emotional. If you're not gripped by emotion when you're playing a sport or watching a sport, I don't know what to say. It's there are all kinds of emotions. You're cheering, you're booing, you're yelling, you're angry, you're happy, you get sad. Your team shits the bed. You're sad. Maybe you don't cry, but they have more invested than we do, for the most part. So, yeah, no problem with it. All right, Adam says, by the way, not on EOP. I tell you, I thought for some reason I'm like, oh, he's on EOP. I'm like, well, I don't think he is. I just think he comments a lot. I'm like, I'm not really sure, but for some reason I thought you popped on there every once in a while. I just watch mostly out of the box shows from time to time and comment, and appeared on Extra Innings once. Okay, so you were on a show here on Out of the Box Sports, but for some reason I thought it was EOP. I thought you were a regular on one of their shows. Yuki says Beatty is fumbling the starting third base job. How do you solve this issue? You send him down. Right now Vientos is outplaying him. You send Beatty down, let him figure it out. I mean, so listening to other podcasts, particularly Locked On Mets, they were breaking down Beatty's swing and Beatty's at bats and stuff like that. I have zero interest in that. Talking about squaring up rates and barrel percentages or whatever. I don't know. I'm not too far into that stuff. The furthest I could deep dive into analytics is OPS. And the only reason I can really dig OPS is because you're just adding two numbers together and they make sense to me. On base percentage and slug percentage. You add them together, you get your OPS. That makes sense to me. But you start out talking about barrel rates and square up rates and stuff like that. But eye test, for just watching Brett Beatty at the plate, he's lost, man. He's up there just guessing away, and I'd say both of his swings are just kind of, he's swinging and he's realizing he's wrong, and then all of a sudden he just loses whatever swing he has, and it just looks so bad. He just looks so off balance. He looks off kilter. In my opinion, he's just up there guessing, and he's guessing way wrong. And it shows. It shows he is lost at the plate. That's why I think you send him down to AAA. I'll let him get a whole bunch of at bats down there. See what happens. If he still struggles, keep him down there for the season. I don't think you give up on Brett Beatty. There's a reason why he was the Mets' top prospect. There's a reason why some of the experts had him ranked in the top 20 of Major League Baseball prospects years ago. There's a reason for it, right? He has a talent. He's shown flashes at moments in the major leagues that he has a talent, but definitely in the minor leagues he shows what he can be. And so I don't think you can give up on him yet, but I do think you send him down. Let Vientos have the at bats. He's earned it. He's absolutely earned it. So that's what I think you do. I don't like the platooning of the third base because nobody's getting consistent at bats. And what if Beatty hits righties better than he hits lefties? So what if you get a whole series of righties? It's like, well, then Vientos isn't hitting for a series, or he's only getting one or two at bats through the righties. You know what I mean? So I don't like the whole platooning thing unless you're going to move Beatty to another spot like that. There was talk about Beatty working out at second base and shortstop now that Joey Wendell has been outright released. So, but yeah, send him down, let him figure it out, let him work on it, and you can say that probably about 75% of our lineup right now. Francisco Lindor, and Pete Alonso had a closed team meeting to turn the ship around. It appears nothing has changed. Do closed door team meetings work? Yes and no. I think it depends on the sport, where you're at in the season, and the other guys that you have in the room with you. I think those closed door meetings, I think they work better in football because there's a lot more I've always feel like there's a lot more testosterone between football players, like really more machoism. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I always feel like when there's a closed door meeting in football, I always feel like that team usually comes out the next week or two, and they play really well. They play lights out, almost, and they play much better because the guys in there, Eagles are set aside. You have your team leaders, your unquestioned captains in there, taking control, and pointing the finger at guys, saying, "Hey, we need to pick this up. You need to pick this up," and airing of your grievances. Getting everything out on the table. Baseball, there's airing of your grievances, but it's not as much as a macho high testosterone sport as what football is. So I just don't feel like you get that whole you don't get the whole effect that you do when you have a bunch of alpha males in the same room. Then you have your alpha males that are your captains that really step out in front and take control of it. I mean, now I consider Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor the unquestioned leaders of the Mets, the unquestioned captains. But where is that said? I mean, does every guy believe that? I don't know. So for them to have a closed door meeting, baseball, especially this early in the season too, I don't know if it's going to do anything. If it's the middle of July, they're 1 or 2 games out of first place. They just are on a 3-game skid. They haven't been playing well. I feel like that would do more than them, losing. I don't know what it is, 15 of the last 20 or whatever. I don't know exactly what it, but you know what I'm getting at. They've lost a lot out of a lot recently. 10. No, I think they're 13 games back. 13 and a half games back. The division, which they're out of, wild cards are still in the mix, but I mean, it's just right now, I don't think it does anything. I think later in the season, if things get tighter, I think it does more, but right now, I just don't think it does anything. Yuki says the Phils keep pulling further and further away. RIP Mets 2024. Yeah, so it's kind of funny you say that. 2 weeks ago, I said on the show, the Marlins, I think, were 18 and a half out. And I said the Miami Marlins have officially been eliminated from playoff contention. Stick a fork in them, they're done. They suck, blah, blah, blah. Well, they go out. They beat us. Now we're 13 and a half out. And the Marlins are still done, still eliminated from playoff contention, at least for division-wise. And the same thing with the Mets. The Mets are, they're no chance in the division. Nationals, it's a 2-team race in the East right now. It's the Mets and the Braves, and even the Braves are dropping back. But again, you can't count the Braves out. We all know that from 2022 when the Mets were up, I don't know what it was, 10 games, 11 games, whatever, in May. And again, the thing that pisses me off most about that season was all the talk about the Mets blowing the lead and stuff. It was a 10-game lead in May. It's not like it was a 10-game lead in August. It's a total difference. There's still 130 games to go, whatever it was, 120 games to go. It's not like it was a 10-game lead and there was 25 games to go. It's not blowing a lead in May, in my opinion, anyway. If you want to say that, then teams blow leads every year. Multiple game leads. It just happens. Braves got hot in June, and that was it. Well, not June, July, all the rest of the way. They got hot, but they just started playing better, and they caught the Mets that year. I don't consider that a blown lead. The year that they blew the division to the Phillies, that was a blown lead. I don't know, what was it, 6, 7 games or whatever. With 2 weeks to go or whatever it was, that was bad. Excuse me. Stacy Baker checking in. What's up, Stacy? How you doing? Checking in from YouTube. She's YouTubing right now. She says, "Good morning, Batcavers." Good morning. I can't wait to start seeing that Giants show. The football season right around the corner here, so there we go. Excuse me again. I've got a tickle in my throat. I'm going to skip that comment because it appears to be a what do they call that? Spam. So I'm going to skip that one. Go to Adam Popple here again. Would you give Alonso a $250 million contract? I don't think it's wise. He's basically Kyle Schwarber, except doesn't get on base as much. Schwarber only signed for 4 years, $79 million. I can't see giving Alonso $25 to $30 million a year. I would go 200, 180 to 200. That's where I would go with Pete right now. I mean, he's been playing a lot better recently, the last few weeks. Has been hitting the ball much harder, hasn't been striking out as much. I've been taking the ball opposite field a bit, but still not showing up when we need him to show up. Last night, perfect example. Mets down 7-6. Lindor actually gets on. He gets a base hit. Perfect opportunity for Pete. You want to be the big dog. You want the big money. You got to do big plays. He didn't do a big play. Ends up grounding out into the double play. Bingo, bango, game over. So he needs to step up big if he wants that big money. I'd say the difference between him and Schwarber is, Pete's actually a decent first baseman. He's not a great first baseman, but I'd say he's a good first baseman. He's worked really hard at it, and when he's on the field, he's not really a liability like Schwarber was a liability in the field. So when you're paying Schwarber, you're paying for one thing only. When you're paying Pete, you're kind of paying for two things. Again, he's not great. He's not Freddie Freeman at first base or anything like that, or Paul Goldschmidt. But he is a good first baseman. In my opinion, I would argue that. I would argue anybody that want to say that he's a liability for the Mets at first base. Not from what I've seen. I've watched. I haven't watched every game. I haven't watched every inning of every game, but from all the innings, all the games that I've watched this past season, he's looked really good at first base. He's gotten better. He works at it. He works at it very hard. So he doesn't want to be a DH. He wants to be a player. He wants to be on the field. But I would say 180 to 200. And the further the season goes along, the more likely it feels like it'd be less. Maybe that more the 160 to 180, just because if he continues this route where he's hitting 220, 215, 220, and RBI production is down for him right now. And again, he being bounced around in the order. Also, the rest of the offense isn't really doing a whole lot. Getting on base or so that's not helping either. But if he continues on this path the rest of this season, I don't see him getting a big contract again. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another 1-year contract with the Mets. If he stays with the Mets through the trade deadline. I've mentioned this a couple times on here, Adam, that I wonder if we could see Pete Alonso being traded at the trade deadline for assets and some team taking him as a rental, and then the Mets going after him again in the offseason. But that's and again, I said this before. That's something. If you want to keep Pete, if you want Pete as a lifelong Met, which is I do, which most of the fan base does. Right now, we're mad at him, and we have every right to be, just like Lindor. But long term, I think just about every Met fan wants Pete Alonso long term. And no salary cap, so there is luxury tax and stuff like that, but no calorie tap, no calorie tap, no. I'm on a diet, so you can tell. Calorie tap, no salary tax, salary cap, but a luxury tax, and so they could spend the money. We seen that in 2022. We seen the Dodgers do it kind of a little bit different, but they spend a lot of money as well. Phillies, they spend a lot of money. Yankees, Red Sox usually do. I think the Red Sox kind of scaled it back a little bit. But anyway, so I could see them, possibly traded. But in my opinion, they'd have to have that conversation with Pete. Say, hey, Pete, this is what we're thinking. What are your thoughts on this? We trade you, trade deadline. We get, prospects or whatever in return. And then we look, you go to free agency and we come knocking at your door to bring you back. He said he wanted to be a Met. I mean, that's what you say. Unless I believe he wants to be a Met. I do believe he wants to be a Met. I do believe he wants to finish his career as a Met, but I wouldn't be overly shocked if he wasn't. I think it's more of the highest bidder kind of thing. So, but I 180 to 200 is where I see it. But if he continues down this, because that'd be back-to-back seasons of low 200 batting average, even though high power numbers. But if his power takes a dip as well this season, I don't know. But he has been hitting. He has been much better at bats recently. Fantasy football girl, what's up? How about my Cubbies? What a game. Yeah, beating the Braves, extra innings. Good for the Cubs there. We like seeing the Braves lose, even if the Mets suck ass right now. Braves loss is a Mets win, in my opinion. Go Cubs. Are they in first or are they behind that Brewers? I think they might be behind the Brewers. I'm not sure, but a pretty good division there. You got the top. Yuki says Mets are 12-4 on series getaway day. Can they pretend the first game of the series is a getaway day? That'd be nice. That would be nice. And but yeah, that's what it feels like. They lose the first two games of the series, then all of a sudden that third game or getaway game, they come back and win. It was a really exciting game last night. The Mets, Guardians. I still want to call them Indians. I still do it all the time. My daughter's like, "Oh, who are the Mets playing?" I was like, "Oh, they're playing the Indians." And she's looking at it. And she's like, "Well, that's not what it says." I said, "No, Guardians. I'm sorry." It's just something I always say it. It's old habits, I guess. I don't know. Guardians just doesn't feel right to me yet. But that would be nice if they could pretend if they could pretend that all 3 games in a series or 4 games or whatever were getaway games. That'd be nice. I throwing a good morning out there. Good morning, fantasy football girl. Slightly behind the Brewers. Okay. I know it's close. I know it's tight. Both teams are very good right now. Yuki says New York City local, state, federal taxes are a killer. Pete Alonso signing with a low-income tax state like Texas, Washington, or Florida. Well, and he's also from Florida, and so that's where my thoughts go immediately. But I can't see the Marlins or the Rays spending that money on him. I could see the Nationals, the Rangers. They put a lot of money out. Astros. I think they're. I'm not sure who their first baseman is right now. It's I want to say it's oh crap, I can't think of it. I don't think he plays with them anymore. He was number 79 last year. He used to be a White Sox for years. I could picture him too. I just can't think of what his name is, but for some reason I don't think he's with them anymore. I got you. Washington State. I got you. Washington State, Seattle. I could see that. I heard that name pop up a couple times, especially with the Yamamoto. His name was floated up in Seattle. You have big money there. Ohtani. Again, I don't think any of those were like really all that serious, but his name was floated up there also in Seattle. But yeah, I could see them throwing a lot of money at Pete as well. Who else has a tax-free state? I'm not sure who else. I don't think it's Nevada, is it? No, it doesn't matter. There's nobody in Nevada anyway. But anyway, it doesn't matter. And it's funny you mentioned that because I was reading a breakdown of Bryce Harper's contract and like what the taxes do to it. And the dude is making he's still making a lot of money, a shit ton of money. But like you break it down by year, and it's just a fraction of what you think he's making. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I don't remember exactly what they were, but all the different taxes and the amounts, it's not like it was just a city tax or whatever. There was this tax, a professional athlete's tax, this tax, and the blind children tax, the broken bridge tax, the weeds growing out of the curb tax. There's a lot of taxes that they're hitting that guy for. It's like, holy crap. No wonder he needs a $300 million contract to play in Philadelphia or whatever it is. If he's making, supposed to make 30 million a year, he's only making like 7 or 8, which again is a lot of freaking money. But still, if you're in Florida or Texas, like Yuki said, you're making a lot more money. You're making oil money if you're in Texas. All right, so getting back to the slate of crap I have written down here, Kodai Senga, not good news on him. He's behind schedule on his return from injury. His mechanics are off, so he's trying to work on that. Though he was doing long tossing, he was getting a lot of tightness in his triceps, so they shut him down. He won't pitch a rehab assignment until his mechanics are back and there's no more tightness in those triceps or shoulder. So it might be a while. To be honest with you, I think the Mets should just shut his ass down for the rest of the year and could just continue working on it instead of trying to push him to return. They just shut him down for the year because I feel like this is going to be an ongoing thing. It's going to be, he's going to get close and he got tightness, and forearm tightness. Once I hear forearm tightness, I think Jacob deGrom or who was it? Was it Syndergaard too? Also with the forearm tightness, then all of a sudden it's UCL. So it's chill with it. This season isn't really working out all that great anyway, so don't want to rush it back with Kodai Senga. We already talked about Edwin Diaz, so I'm not going to jump back into that. Carlos Mendoza shuffling up the lineup. I like it. I like him shuffling up the lineup. I'm not sure if I'm overly crazy about the way he shuffled up the lineup. Lindor batting first, Alonso second, Nimmo third. I do like Nimmo third. JD Martinez fourth, Starling Marte fifth, Beatty, McNeil, Bader, Venito. I like it, but then I'm like kind of on the fence with Alonso batting second, Lindor batting first. Usually you want those guys to get on base, and the way they're hitting right now, they're not getting on base. But with them batting first and second, they're getting a lot more at bats. Usually those guys, top of the lineup, your first or your leadoff batter, your second batter, usually get a lot more at bats than the rest of your lineup does. So I mean that could be just so they can see more pitches, see more at bats, and hopefully get it clicking pretty soon. But so far it's been mixed results. There's been a couple games where the Mets have put up some decent numbers offensively. Then there's some games where they still shit the bed offensively. So. Yohan Ramirez traded to the Dodgers for cash, straight up cash on me. I heard it was $20, but I'm not sure. I can't confirm that. That's rumors that I started. Grant Harwig was optioned down to AAA. I think that was in favor of Tyler McGill returning back from the IL after his rehab stints down in AAA. I think it was AAA or AA. Blake Tidwell called up to AAA. So I have thoughts on that here in a second. And Tyler McGill makes his season debut against Cleveland. I'll talk about that in a minute. But so Blake Tidwell being called up to AAA, it seems like there's been a whole lot of movement so far in the minor leagues with guys being bumped up. And that leads me to believe that when we get to trade deadline time, I would expect guys like Severino, Minaya, maybe not Severino. Except for some reason, I feel like Severino is going to stay around. I wouldn't be surprised if Severino re-signs at the end of the season. But like Minaya, Quintana, guys like that, I wouldn't be too surprised if they're traded away at the trade deadline. One, to kind of make room for the younger guys. Maybe call up a couple of younger guys for the second half of the season, see what we got going on there in our farm system. And two, just get more players in the farm system, more collateral and stuff like that for potential trades in the future. So that's my thoughts there. I see a lot of guys moving up. So I feel like we're going to have a youth movement. I wouldn't be too shocked if we finally see a McNeil trade. The guys have been talking about it for a couple of years now. I like Jeff McNeil, but I've learned to really not like him. I was a McNeil fan. I kind of like. I wouldn't go out and say I was one of those guys that was making excuses for him playing the way he has the past two seasons, especially at the plate. But I'm kind of fed up with it. I'm kind of over it, and I'm ready to see him gone and see a fresh face there at second base. And one name I haven't heard in a long time now is Ronnie Mauricio, who's recovering from an ACL tear. Hearing all sorts of different guys there at second base. Jet Williams, Acuna, guys like that. So we'll see what happens. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we see a youth movement there at the trade deadline. Even if we're only a couple games back in the wild card, I'm still thinking that there's still going to be some trades. The Mets are going to go younger, even if they are close in the wild card, because they're not going to be close in the division. They're not. But even if less than 5 games behind in the wild card, I still feel like we're going to see a bunch of trades where it's going to lead to a bunch of prospects being called up to kind of see what we got going on there. Maybe even seeing a Jose Butto back up or a Joey Lucchesi, or maybe even seeing one of those guys traded as well. And getting the younger guys. I don't know about Blake Tidwell. If he'd be called up this season, or not. But Mike Vasil, you've been hearing his name for a few years now. Maybe get him up to see what he actually has. I mean, I'm not sure how his season's going this year. I haven't really looked up on his stats, but I thought I heard it's not going well. Well, let's see what we got. Put him up in the major leagues. Just because he struggles at AAA doesn't mean he's going to struggle in the majors. Just because he does well at AAA doesn't mean he's going to do well in the majors. So that's my thoughts there anyway. Oh, here we go. I like this, Yuki. I like proposed stuff. My proposed Mets 2025 lineup: first base, Mark Vientos; second base, Luis Angel Acuna. I'm getting better at saying that. Shortstop, Lindor; third base, Bregman. Oh, there we go. Free agent. Left fielder, Drew Gilbert; Brandon Nimmo in center; right field, Juan Soto; and DH, Ronnie Mauricio. All right. I don't know about the Soto and the Bregmans. I don't know, the free agents part, but I know Drew Gilbert's been getting a lot of praise. A lot of people clamoring for him. Luis Angel Acuna has been struggling in AAA, but it's still hearing a lot about him. Get him up. Again, Jet Williams. I don't know if he's ready yet or not, but he's another guy that you're hearing a lot about. Alex Ramirez. I know he's on the Mets 40-man roster, but he's down in AAA as well. Again, not sure how his season's going, but I know during spring training he looked really good. I thought anyway. So I could see Gilbert up. Luis Angel Acuna, I'd almost guarantee that he'd be up. Mark Vientos at first base. Again, that means that Pete's gone. So if Pete's gone, that means you have money to spend, and that's where your Juan Soto might come in at right field. I wouldn't expect Marte back as well. McNeil, I'd expect on. I just said that before. I do like that lineup, but again, doing it on the field is another thing. It looks great on paper, but this Mets team right now, if you ask me, on paper they look like a pretty solid team. At least offensively. Lindor, high caliber offensive guy, is supposed to be. Same thing with Alonso. JD Martinez, who's actually done fairly well. You haven't seen a whole lot of power off of him yet, but he's hitting over 300, a couple of home runs. Brandon Nimmo, he's showing some pop. There's times where he's looked very good offensively. So, that's another guy. Jeff McNeil has won a batting title, but he's way underperformed. Starling Marte, offensively has had some really good years. I mean, now granted he is on the back half of his career, but he has it in him. So just looking on paper, these guys all, can be top flight offensive players, but all of them, except for I'd say JD and to a certain extent Brandon Nimmo, have underperformed, greatly. So, but yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. I mean, again, I'm a huge Pete Alonso fan. I love Pete Alonso. There's two reasons why I didn't get a City Connect jersey for my birthday. One reason was I was too fat. They only went up to XX, so I was too nervous. I didn't want my wife to get a XX jersey and have, I wouldn't be able to fit into it, or I'd look like a Vienna sausage. I don't need that, or no, I guess it wouldn't be a regular sausage, in the casing and stuff where it's all, if you bust a seam, all of a sudden it flops out and stuff. Anyway, and also, they only had two available with names on it. I want a name on it. I just don't want the plain one. It was Lindor and Alonso, and Alonso being my favorite player. I said to my wife, let's hold off on the City Connect jersey. Let me lose a little bit more weight. And also, let's see if Pete Alonso's in the Mets' future plans. So I'll always be a Pete Alonso fan, but it's always Mets. It's always team first over the players. I root for the team as well as the players, but it's always team first for me. It always has been, always will be. So I was a big Todd Hundley fan. When the Mets they brought Piazza in and Hundley got pushed off to the side. Then he ended up going to, I think, maybe Colorado or somewhere. I was obviously bummed, but I still, let's go Mets, and still kind of watch Todd Hundley from afar and watch him struggle the rest of his career. So, but yeah, not a bad proposed lineup there. The whole Soto and Bregman thing has me my interest peaked. Does that mean Beatty's gone as well? Yeah, I would assume so. If you have Vientos at first base, Mauricio at DH, once he's capable, can also play second base and some outfield. That's what he was working on before being called up last season. Second base and outfield. So you could have also a rotational type DH, which is something I proposed this year. Was that the Mets, instead of signing JD Martinez, they should just use the DH as a rotational piece for guys that need, breaks instead of sitting them for a whole game and let them sit, get away from that wear and tear of the field and let them bat still and go from there. All right, so I'm going to move on from that. I'm not going to give my normal huge breakdowns of the games. I'm just going to go ahead and read off some scores and go from there because I am right now in 51 minutes. So if you're watching right now, throw your comments out there. So far, great show. A lot of comments from Yuki Matsui, Adam Popple. We had Adam Glenn. We had Eileen, Fantasy Football Girl, and also the Spam, which I didn't read. So keep throwing those comments out there. YouTube, like, follow, subscribe. Facebook, X. If you're on X, if you're watching from X, which most of our viewers usually are, you can comment live on the live video feed. You click on the live stream and then click on it again, and the comment section is supposed to pop up. And like I say every show, I still have not figured it out. So that's that. I almost feel like it has to be I do this from a laptop. I feel like it has to be on some sort of personal computer, laptop, or whatever. But people have done it from their cell phone, so I don't know. I feel like a grumpy old man when I talk about this. Like, electronics, I can't figure them out. They scare me. All right, so Mets versus Phillies. The last two games of that series were in Philadelphia. They split it. Thank God. If they would have lost those two, I don't know. Philly fans are really riding me pretty good. My friends, as they are. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of backhanded. I guess it wasn't really backhanded. I guess it was the whole hand. Comments and stuff like that. It's Philly fans, Lucchesi, he gets knocked around. He started off well. Joey Lucchesi, I guess the Phillies there in the first game. Mets lost 10-5. Started off well, but went downhill quick. Had issues with his control. He went 4 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 5 runs, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, so only 68 pitches. But yeah, he just lost control. Like I said, it started off well. I believe that his game is misting a little bit, but it can't. Is misting for the Phillies too. Ranger Suarez and Ranger Suarez did not look dominant against the Mets. And again, that could be because of the mist of the rain, but he was good enough to get the job done. So JD Martinez had a home run in that game. Vientos had an RBI. McNeil RBI. Nito RBI. And Francisco Lindor had 2 stolen bases. Got to get that guy on base so he can steal these freaking bases. Game 2, the Mets win 6-5 in 11 innings. Shouldn't have gone to 11 innings, but it is what it is. What do we have here? JD Martinez RBI single in the 11th, plus a score on a wild pitch made it 6-4. Philly score another in the 5th. They get the zombie run, or in the 11th, getting the zombie runner in, make it 6-5. And that was your final. Ed Diaz blows a save, another save. What else do we have from that one? The Mets were down 3-2 in the 8th. They get an RBI single by Bader. And also Pete Alonso scored on the wild pitch. That made it 4-3. And like I said, Diaz came in and could not hold that lead. Jose Quintana, 5 1/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts, 81 pitches. A quick hook on Quintana. I don't remember how many people were on base when they pulled him. If it was 1 or 2, but it was a pretty quick hook, and it was probably smart. But it's surprising he actually went past 5 innings. 5 1/3, that's still more than 5 innings. So take it, I guess. Alonso, he was 1 for 4, scored 2 runs, had a home run. JD Martinez had an RBI, scored a run. Harrison Bader was 2 for 2, a double RBI. Marte had a stolen base. He was 2 for 5 with a run scored, and Brett Beatty was 1 for 2 with an RBI. So the Mets go down to Miami. And so the one thing about that extra inning game in Philly that they talked about it on the SNY broadcast of that game, of the Mets game versus Phillies. Talking about, or maybe it was the radio I was listening to. I think it was the radio I was listening to. They were talking about how late it was going to be by the time the Mets got down to Miami. and talking about how poor the pitching is in Miami, that the Mets should be all right, blah blah blah. But they kept harping on how late it was going to be, and then it goes extra innings and stuff like that. So whether or not that played a role into it, you can make excuses up all you want. There's no excuse for losing to the Marlins 8-0. Christian Scott, in front of his home crowd there, he gets whooped his first spanking as a starting pitcher for the Mets in the major leagues. 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Started out well, but just couldn't figure it out. Josh Walker and Grant Harwig had 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 earned runs. The bullpen getting smacked around a little bit there. Alonso 1 for 4, Lindor 1 for 4, JD Martinez 2 for 3, and Harrison Bader 1 for 4 in that matchup. Like I said, 8-0. And I think that at that point, that was the 3rd game in a row, if I remember correctly, the Marlins shut their opponent out. So that's pretty impressive. So we go into the game 2 there. The Mets lose 10-9. Again, Diaz had a 4-run lead, could not hold that lead. And the Mets lose in 10 innings, 10-9. Severino was cruising until he wasn't in the 7th inning. He was looking really good. Now here's a time where maybe they should have had a quick hook on Severino, but he just lost it. Dude just lost it in the 7th inning, and it is what it is. But again, the Mets were still winning. So Lindor had an RBI. Alonso was 2 for 6. JD Martinez was 2 for 5 with 2 RBI. Vientos 2 for 4 with an RBI and a walk. Starling Marte 3 for 4 an RBI. Bader was 1 for 5, 2 RBI. Jeff McNeil was 2 for 4 with a walk, 2 RBI, and Nito was 2 for 5. Like I said, Severino 6 2/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 95 pitches. Probably left him in there too long. Diaz, the 3rd inning pitch. This is where the 15 pitches I was talking about earlier. 4 hits, 4 earned runs on 15 pitches is brutal. Brutal. You got to feel bad for the guy. I mean, he just looked. He went in. He sat in the dugout, and he just looked stunned. He looked stunned. He looked beside himself. What are you gonna do? Finally, to Yuki's point here, the getaway game here. Mets win 7-3. They jump out to an early lead with a 4-run first. Bader 2 RBI and Tyrone Taylor 2 RBI. I think they're both. No, I don't think they're both doubles. Were they? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Sean Manaea looked really good. Again, not going deep into the game, though. Nimmo 2-run home run in the top of the 9th to put the Mets further out in front and really seal the game. Lindor was 2 for 4, 2 runs. Nimmo 1 for 4 with that 2-run home run and a walk. Tyrone Taylor 2 for 5, 2 RBI, run scored. Brett Baty 1 for 3 RBI, 2 walks. Bader 2 for 4, 2 RBI. Sean Manaea, like I said, 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, but 95 pitches. The dude just goes super deep in counts, cannot put people away, and it's hurting him. It's hurting him, and it's hurting our bullpen. I got to figure out how to put people away, but he looked good. He looked really good. It's just a lot of deep counts, He fell behind a bunch of times to hitters, but is able to battle back, and that hurt him. That really did hurt him. So the Mets move on to we'll quick look at the bullpen. The bullpen with 4 innings pitched in that game, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. That was Sean Reed-Foley, Jake Diekman, and Reed Garrett. Reed Garrett won 2 innings pitched with 4 strikeouts. Reed Garrett having a terrific season so far, as well as Sean Reed-Foley. Diekman's been kind of up and down a little bit. The Mets dropped first of 2 at the Guardians. I don't know why I wrote it like that. The Mets drop their first 2. That's why I should have. That's how I should have wrote it down. But that's not how I wrote it down. Mets dropped first 2 up in Cleveland. Game 1, they lost 3-1. Lindor homecoming. Did get some applause, but also did get some boos. Whatever. I mean, it's been a few years now. So, but anyway, I had a lot of good seasons there in Cleveland. Like I mentioned about the World Series, I think that's against the Cubs. I had a really good World Series. They lost in 7. With the Mets so far, it's been up and down. So, and like Yuki brought up, my thoughts on Lindor saying what he misses most about Cleveland was winning. Take it for what you will. He can point his finger at his teammates, but like I said last week, you point your finger, you have, well, on my hand, you have 3 point right back at you. I guess if you go, no, yeah, you have 3 more point right back at you. So, because you have the thumbs pointing that way still. That's how it might, see what I mean? Yeah, those 3 point back. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm getting off track here. Yeah, so he struggles. I think he was 0 for 5 or 0 for 4 in his first game back in Cleveland. Beatty just looked absolutely awful in that game. I think he was 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts in that game, something like that. The Mets pitching, again, with 3-1 loss, but they held Cleveland hitless from the 4th inning on. So that was nice. Tyler McGill struggled in the first inning, but really found it. I thought he found a nice groove. He was looking really good. I like it, the American Spork, kind of a play off of Kodai Senga's Ghost Fork. He's using that, and that looks good. All of his pitches I thought looked really good. Cutter, fastball. I thought after the first inning, kind of settled in a little bit. I thought he looked good. So he gave up 2 runs in the first. I went 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, 86 pitches. Bullpen 3 innings pitched, no hits, 1 strikeout. That was Josh Walker and Jorge Lopez. Alonso was 2 for 4. Nimmo and JD Martinez were 1 for 4. Brett Beatty 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. Brutal. Bader was 1 for 3, and our only run was Tomas Nido bringing in the power. He had a solo home run. Game 2, Mets lose 7-6. This is an exciting game. Good game last night to watch. Kind of back and forth. Every time you thought the Mets were out of it, they kind of crept back into it. Give me a second here. A sip of iced tea for the working man. I got a comment here before I continue. Yuki Matsui. Steve Cohen posts cryptic tweet. What was really behind the message? I feel Cohen is super mad and his team is finished. I think you're talking about that tweet where he said about what was it? Something like changes at the trade deadline, or like we'll see what the team looks like at the trade deadline, or something like that. And it was, he did delete it. But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, he is the owner, right? Everybody answers to him, so he's not happy. He's going to relay that to David Stearns, and they're going to go from there. This team is in. I don't want to say Stephen Cohen's vision, because it's in Stearns' vision more so than anything. That's why he hired him. But it's his team. If he doesn't he's not happy with the way things are going, he's going to relay that message, and they're going to fix it. They're going to have to fix it, or they're going to be looking for another job. So, but yeah, I agree. I think he's super pissed the way it's going. But I think you have to kind of expect this is the way it was going to go. I mean, I don't understand. There are some guys on there that can really play ball that aren't, but there's a lot of guys on there that you look at their stats the last season or two that haven't been playing very good ball at all. So I think to be where we're at right now in the standings, I think it's like 5 or 6 games below 500 isn't totally unexpected. I mean, I said I expect the Mets to finish around 500. So I'm not overly surprised, but I'm annoyed that they're losing the way they lose all the time. I'd rather those losses be spread out a little bit more. So I know the fan base is pissed off. I know Frank the Tank is pissed off. Game 2, the Mets lost 7-6. Back and forth bullpen. Couldn't make the big pitches when needed. Vientos continues to swing a good bat. Adrian Hauser, why we keep putting this guy out there, that pisses me off. I don't know why he's not with Joey Wendell at the local soup kitchen. But anyway, he went 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Fucking garbage. Lindor was 2 for 5 RBI. Alonso 1 for 4 with a walk. Nimmo 1 for 4, struck out 3 times. JD was 1 for 4. Fucking one of my coworkers wrote a fake name in there that I will not read. I refuse to read it. Marte was 1 for 4 with a 2-run home run. Vientos 2 for 4, 2 runs, a solo shot to kind of get the scoring going. I think that was in the 4th or 5th or something like that. Jeff McNeil was 2 for 4, 2 runs, 2-run home run as well. That's kind of surprising. A little bit of pop out of McNeil there. Recently, it seems like he's had a couple more multi-hit type games, just not consistent enough for me. What else we got here? The Mets were down 3-0. They got it back to 3-2 in the 5th with the Vientos home run and the Lindor RBI single. Cleveland goes up 5-2, the back up by 3. And then that was with a Ramirez home run. Guy just absolutely crushed it. Jeff McNeil, he makes a 5-4 with a 2-run home run in the 6th. Then Fry, I can't remember his first name, he pinch hit. He had a 2-run home run to put them back up by 3 again, 7-4, off of Jake Diekman, who was pissed afterwards. You know, kind of gave that the water jug the old heave ho up the hallway there in the clubhouse. Then Starling Marte, he had a 2-run home run in the 8th inning to make it 7-6. And like I said, in the 9th inning, Lindor got on, Alonso's up, and hit the game-ending double play. So got to make those big hits. So up next for the Mets, 1:10 today, 1:10 p.m. At Cleveland. You have Quintana going. He's 1 and 4 with a 5.21 ERA versus Tristan McKenzie. He's 2 and 3 with a 3.23 ERA. Then we get a day off. Friday, the Giants come into town. They have Kyle Harrison, who's 4 and 1 with a 3.60 ERA, going against Christian Scott, who's 0 and 2, 4.32 ERA. Then they have San Francisco has Jordan Hicks going. He's 4 and 1, also 2.38 ERA against Luis Severino, who's 2 and 2 with a 3.48 ERA. Then Logan Webb goes for the Giants. He's 4 and 4 with a 3.03 ERA against Sean Manaea, who is 3 and 1 with a 3.11 ERA. Then the Dodgers come into town for a set. They have Gavin Stone going, who's 4 and 1, 3.27 ERA against Tylor Megill, who's 0 and 2 with an ERA of 3. And then Tyler Glasnow, who's 6 and 2 with a 2.9 ERA, going against right now listed is Adrian Hauser. I swear to God. I swear to God, as God is my witness right now, if that man is pitching against the Dodgers, I'm gonna flip. Next Wednesday is gonna be something else. You know, there's no reason to have that douchebag pitch anything. He shouldn't even be on the team. He should be, DFA'd or whatever. I don't know. Take him out into the woods and drive away. Say, oh, we're going for ice cream, buddy. Come on in the car. He gets all excited. You take him like, well, we've been driving for 2 hours upstate New York. Where's the ice cream shop? And then you pull over and you push him out and you drive away real quick. I think that's what they should do with him. There's no reason to have that man starting the game. There's no reason to have him pitch at all in relief. Bring somebody else up. I can't wait till I can't believe I'm saying this, but I can't wait till David Peterson's back. Get this guy out of here. So we'll see what happens there. Looking at the standings, right now Philly's up 35. Their record 35 wins, 14 losses. A run differential of plus 83. They've won 4 in a row. They're 8 and 2 in their last 10. Atlanta's 27 and 18, 6 games behind Philly. A plus 39 run differential. They lost 1 in a row. They're 4 and 6 in their last 10. Washington sitting there at 21 and 26, 13 games back. A run differential of negative 20. They are losers of 1 in a row as well. 2 and 8 in their last 10. The Mets are 21 and 27, 13 and a half game back of the division. A run differential of negative 16. They've lost 2 in a row, 3 and 7 in their last 10. And the Miami Marlins, 16 and 34, 19 and a half games back, a run differential of negative 83. They've lost 1 in a row, and they are 6 and 4 in their last 10. So, all right. I think that's all I have for today. I'm going to go ahead and do our sponsor reads here real quick. Net, net, na, na, na. Net, net, na, na, na. Da, 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 da. There it is. Attorney Jason Fine, Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and fall, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. In the Garden State of New Jersey, the offices are located on 3 Greensward Lane, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. The phone number there is 856-209-5258. And in the Steel City of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the offices are located on 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. And in the city of Brotherly Love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the offices are located at 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. The phone number there is 267-888-2980. That's Jason Fine, Attorney Big Al. Head on over to monkeycoltcoffee.com for all your gourmet coffee needs. They have bourbon chocolate chip infused coffee, toasted coconut rum. They have a Sumatran blend medium roast coffee. They have an organic blend called Perula, Florida, and one of their newest flavors, golden honey agave. Be sure to head on over to their swag shop, get t-shirts, coffee mugs, tumbler cups, cold brew pitchers for all you iced coffee and cold brew coffee lovers, K-cup adapters, and don't forget that sweet, sweet paradise rum cake. All that and much, much more at monkeycoltcoffee.com. And use that promo code at checkout, OOTB Sports, for 10% off your order. That promo code, once again, is OOTB Sports for 10% off your order at monkeycoltcoffee.com. And here's a reminder, coming up on May 27th, we have a new show here on Out of the Box Sports Entertainment called Inside the Octagon with UFC talk. It'll be hosted by Paul and Josh. That'll be every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Again, debuting May 27th on Out of the Box Sports, Facebook, YouTube, and X. Like, follow, and please subscribe. Also, a couple notes here. I will be live again tomorrow morning, Silver and Black Lair, LA Kings edition, talking LA Kings hockey and Stanley Cup playoffs. Friday morning, 10 a.m., I will be talking Silver and Black Lair, Las Vegas Raiders edition. I'll be talking, of course, Las Vegas Raiders, and I'll be talking, finishing up my defensive talk, defensive depth chart, as I finish up with their defensive linemen. So I'll be talking about that and also talking about the passing of Raiders legend, the original Raider, Mr. Raider himself, Jim Otto. And then last but not least, I will also be live this Saturday. 10:30 p.m. is what I have it at right now because I will be at a local indie wrestling show. So I'm not sure exactly what time I'll get home. So I have it set for 10:30 right now. So 10:30, be sure to check out the Atomic Drop podcast, talking WWE wrestling. All right, we got one more comment here before I jet out. Hey, our boy Paul Spencer checking in. What's up, brother? Paul says, what's up, buddy? Sorry, was at gym training with the champ today. Oh, hopefully he didn't catch you with one. You know what happens, right? Lights out. That's all I got to say, right, Paul? Yuki Matsui, thanks for the show, Kenny. San Francisco Giants and LA Dodgers are next. We might totally out of the wild card race by next week. It is something that is very conceivable. I mean, and to be honest with you, Yuki, would that be absolutely terrible? Start the fire sale. The one thing about the fire sale is we want, especially these pitchers, we want these pitchers pitching, as good as they possibly can, to get more in return. So with Jose Quintana with an ERA of 5, he's kind of shitting a bed for us right now. But Severino with a mid-3 ERA, Shamanaya low 3 ERA. And there ain't no way anybody's taking Adrian Hauser. No way. I mean, maybe like a beer league softball team, something like that, slow pitch softball, or I don't know. Nobody's taking Adrian Hauser. Last week, Miami was a must sweep for the Mets. I would agree with that. If not a must sweep, a must win series, and they absolutely shit the bed. So I would agree with that, Yuki. 100%. the team is that bad, and to go in there and get beat, especially the way they got beat, 8-0, and then that blown lead, when they were up 9-5 and losing in extra innings then. So, yeah, it was tough. Especially then you have Cleveland, who's one of the best teams in the league. Then you have the Giants, who are not one of the best teams in the league, but, they're kind of almost in the same boat as the Mets. The Giants, I think, are 3 games under 500. I think I have it written down here. I think they're 23-66. Yeah, 23-26. The Giants are. So they're under 500 as well. But I feel like the Giants are playing better than what the Mets are. Then you have the Dodgers, one of the best teams in the league again. So not a whole lot of reprieves there. And then I think then we end up heading to London pretty soon after that. So maybe the trip away will be good. We'll see. All right. That's all I have. Thank you, everybody, for checking the show out. Thank you for commenting. Please, again, hit that subscribe button. Please like our shows. Throw your comments out there. Even if you're not watching it live, throw comments out there. It's going to help us. It helps with the algorithms and help us get noticed a little bit more. So maybe the video will pop up more often. All right. Thank you, everybody. I will see you guys definitely next Wednesday for the Bat Cave. But if you want to check out my other shows, like I said, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., LA Kings. Friday, 10 a.m., Las Vegas Raiders. And then Saturday, 10:30 p.m., talking WWE wrestling. If not, I'll see you guys next Wednesday. And let's go Mets.